and welcome to our presentation, Migrating from Oracle WAM to Cityworks AMS during a pandemic, presented by Pennichuck Water Works and Timmons Group. My name is Michael Edwards, and I'm a project director at Timmons Group. Headquartered in Richmond, Virginia, with offices around the U.S., Timmons Group is a multiple award-winning Esri business partner, as well as a Cityworks Platinum business partner. Timmons Group is proud to work exclusively with Cityworks and recently surpassed 100 Cityworks implementations.
My name is Dawn LeBecca, and I'm an engineering business analyst with Pennichuck Water Works. I've been with Pennichuck for 25 years. A little information about me: my degrees are in business and accounting. I spent 16 years in the accounting department, 1 year in IT, and the last 8 years I've been in the engineering department. In this role, I oversee asset management, GIS, and the computerized maintenance management system. Pennichuck Water is in Nashua, New Hampshire. We are located about an hour north of Boston, Massachusetts. We have been in business since 1852. On January 25, 2012, Pennichuck ceased to be a publicly traded company when the city of Nashua became the sole shareholder. Pennichuck's structure is unique, not only in New Hampshire, but throughout the country. As a closely held private corporation owned by the city of Nashua, Pennichuck is not a department of the city. We have 3 regulated water utilities: Pennichuck Water Works, Pennichuck East Utility, and Pittsfield Aqueduct Corporation, a real estate holding company, the Southwood Corporation, and a contract operations company, Pennichuck Water Service Company. In the picture of the map, you can see a bunch of colored dots. These dots represent all the areas we provide service. Between our 3 regulated utilities, we serve 31 communities. We have approximately 120 employees, which comprise about half union and half non-union. We had a successful go-live with the assistance of the Timmons Group on January 1st, 2021. In 2019, Pennichuck made the decision that it was time to replace Oracle WAM. We had been using this CMMS since October of 2001. Oracle WAM did not offer the ability to tie work orders to assets to the GIS and display them in a map. It also did not have a mobile product. We were able to use a third-party software from GeoNexus Technologies that allowed our technicians in the field to enter their labor, truck, and materials against the work orders in Oracle WAM. In our search for a new CMMS, the requirements were that it needed to work with Esri GIS and also integrate with WEX, Munis, Macola, and Proliant. WEX is used for our fuel purchases, Munis is used for our utility billing, Macola is used for our financials, and Proliant is used for our payroll.
In late 2019, Timmons Group was selected by Pennichuck Water Works through a competitively bid process. Over the next month or so, we nailed down our project scope and formally kicked off the project in February 2020. Mark and I traveled on site for the kickoff and spent 2 days with Pennichuck Water Works reviewing our scope and timeline, systems of record, utilities, IT, GIS infrastructure, and generally getting to know the stakeholders. We left the kickoff feeling really great about the project and the folks we were working with, albeit a little nervous about the tight timeline. It's a pretty comprehensive scope to knock out in months. Moving forward with Discovery, our plan was to begin on-site workshops in April to collect requirements and specifications. We would then begin implementation in Cityworks through the month of May and the rest of the summer, ultimately leading to report development, integration, testing, training, go live. As you can see, we were operating under a fairly tight timeline with little wiggle room. But as we're all aware, conditions changed in March, and both our organizations implemented remote work procedures. In mid-March, the project team met to determine how we could meet our timeline under these new conditions. Could we complete the rest of our scope entirely remote? Like many projects over the past year, we moved forward with a modified approach, leaning heavily on Zoom, Smartsheet, teamwork, and a lot of regular touch points with the group. Our new plan saw remote work as an opportunity to meet more frequently with shorter durations. Ultimately, that extended our workshops, but gave staff more time to prepare and focus on the topic at hand. Similarly, we altered our training approach to host 18 sessions with smaller groups and shorter durations. This gave us more time to work with individuals, more opportunities to practice. During the week of Go Live, we conducted numerous Zoom sessions to address last-minute items or questions, troubleshooting when needed. Luckily, other phases of our scope were largely unaffected. Timmons Group has long designed and implemented Cityworks for utilities all over the country. I really love this picture, your plan versus reality. I think I showed this image at our project kickoff in February. Little did I know really what reality was going to strike and how different our year might be. Design portion of our project initiated in April, as I mentioned, and really we did that earnestly. Migrating from Oracle WAM to Cityworks was no small feat, and ultimately the success of that scope we knew hinged on the requirements gathering, system design, really understanding what was needed out of the system. We conducted 9 workshops to gather those requirements, workflows, reports, and elements that would comprise the Cityworks system. We developed a requirements matrix, system design plan that clearly identified our path forward. Because of the complexities of Oracle WAM and the requirements from Pennichuck Water, we completed a fit analysis. This was a new deliverable for us, but we really thought it was necessary for this project. And in that fit analysis, we asked ourselves, how well does this requirement fit into Cityworks out of the box? The answer to several requirements was they don't. We were then able to clearly identify the gaps, solutions as we moved into implementation. The images over here on the right are some examples of our workshop's agenda. As you can see, we really tried to maximize our time meeting with small groups, really honing in on their business processes. The implementation portion of our project began in June, as you can see from our sprint planning smart sheet up here above. Once we identified these requirements, we began the implementation, working with different groups and workflows throughout the summer. We use a modified agile approach where we define a series of sprints, you can see here, to organize the configuration and deliver bi-weekly for remote review and feedback. We landed on 11 sprints to build the system and meet the requirements based on complexity, what we thought was reasonable for us to complete in a 2-week sprint. This method proved to be very effective and allowed our 2 organizations to collaborate while working remotely. Also, as plans changed throughout last year, the cadence of bi-weekly configuration review was stabilizing, kept up our momentum. We'd like to take a moment now to hone in on a few of those complex requirements that we addressed in unique and sometimes custom ways.
Through the implementation, it was determined that we were going to need some custom programming. All of our union employees charge their time against a work order. Per our union contract, the hourly rates are set by job code and change every year. We needed to find a way to track these job codes and rates from year to year. We were able to use the job code section in Designer to keep track of this information. Another issue we ran into was when an employee works a different craft and how that would be recorded. In the employee record, we created a custom field that holds their craft. Timmons was able to create a customization using the custom field on the employee record, the rate from the labor rates table, and what is entered in mobile for a job code to compute their hourly rates. And the employees entering their labor hours in mobile, if they leave the job code as none, the custom code knows to use the job code from the employee record. If an employee is working a different craft, that is when they will change the job code in mobile. We also have shift differentials, flushing bump ups, and overtime and double time rates that needed to be accounted for as well. These are all options that the employee can select from the rates list when entering their labor hours. Based on the start and finish date entered, the custom code knows which rate to apply. Another customization that was needed was the ability to record overheads on work orders. These overheads are based on the description of the work order and the company where the work is being performed. We have 2 types of overheads, one for labor only and one for everything, which includes the labor overhead calculated. These rates also change from year to year. A table was created using the description of the work order template, the applicable shop, which is the company, the labor overhead rate, and the overhead rate, and the effective start and end dates. This process runs when a work order is put in finished status and computes the applicable overheads and adds them as line items to the labor tab in Elm.
Water uses Cityworks to track their time as well as equipment and materials. The ability to audit these transactions was required. To meet the requirement, we needed enhanced Cityworks capabilities to audit labor and equipment. Out of the box, Cityworks audits material when using Storm, but not labor or equipment transactions. We deployed custom objects to update the CW metadata table. When new labor or equipment transactions are added, updated, or deleted.
As I mentioned, the union employees record their time worked in Cityworks against work orders. Another customization needed was the transfer of data from Cityworks to ProLiant. We have two groups with union employees that use Cityworks for their time entry, our distribution department and our water supply department. A report was written for each group to review the labor that was entered in Cityworks by day and employee. The employee also has a report that they can run each day to check their labor entries for accuracy. Each of these departments will notify accounting when their weekly data has been reviewed in Cityworks. Accounting will then run the view, which exports the data from Cityworks to create a CSV file to import into ProLiant.
As November 2020 rolled around, the project transitioned from implementation to testing and training. We completed 20 business days of testing. Admittedly, this was the hardest part of our scope of work. Being remote, as well as everyone's busy schedule and the Thanksgiving holiday, made it difficult to get enough feedback. A few folks at Pennichuck Water really stepped up, Don included, to provide enough testing to make us feel comfortable moving forward towards training. Really, that was required in order to move into the next phase. We often get questions about why we try to do UAT prior to training. And it's really because we don't want to release an implementation to the larger group before testing and making sure that the requirements were met and the system functions smoothly. We felt sure at this point that we could do that. Training occurred over 18 sessions in December. Scheduling these sessions early in the morning allowed users to attend with more focus, fit better into their schedules, and gave us the afternoon to address any feedback. We broke out Office functionality from mobile, which allowed us to tailor sessions to smaller groups and not expose users to any part of the software they didn't need to use in their day-to-day operations. The last week of training was used as office hours, where folks could log on, practice, and get support from the Timmons Group team as they prepared for Go Live. January 1st, Pennichuck Water went live with Cityworks AMS, has been using Cityworks smoothly for the last few months.
This year, we will be working again with the Timmons Group to add PLL. We will be focusing on the engineering group and some of the key functions we support. These are developer-delivered projects, requests for new service, our capital improvement projects, and internal development projects. We want to use PLL to streamline the processes for all of these and allow the customers, contractors, and developers the ability to apply online using Timmons PLL portal. Since the pandemic began in March of 2020, our offices have remained closed to the public. In addition to this, most of our office staff are still working from home. This expansion to add PLL to our Cityworks suite will continue in our efforts to cut down on the amount of paper that gets pushed back and forth and have all the documents, requests, and correspondence located in one platform.
All right, thank you all for attending our presentation, migrating from Oracle WAM to Cityworks AMS during a pandemic. If you all should have any questions about our scope of work or would like some more information on our project, feel free to reach out to Don or myself. Thank you.